appreciate everybody coming out today. We look forward to conducting the business that's set before us. I've asked Commissioner Thomas to lead our minds in prayer, and I've asked County Administrator Bobby Crosby to lead us in the flag. So if you'll silence your phones and participate. Let us pray. Lord, we come to you today and we thank you for giving us the opportunity to represent citizens of Gilchrist County, and we ask you for knowledge and understanding to help us make right decisions. We thank you for our law enforcement, military, and our first responders. Lord, we ask you to forgive us our shortfalls in life. We ask you for your guidance. Amen. Amen. Press flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Anybody got any agenda changes?
Mr. Chairman, I have one, but it's really just to discuss the possibility of a workshop at our next meeting, but we can talk about that when we get to my agenda. So.
Okay, Mr. Lane?
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, if I could move the Health Department core contract up to before the administrator. Ms. McPhillips is here just so that she doesn't have to sit through our entire meeting again.
Okay.
Motion approved. Pass the agenda with changes.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Thomas and a second from Commissioner Smith to approve the agenda with the changes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Everyone have a chance to look at the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Martin and a second from Commissioner Langford to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay. Now's the time for public participation. Anybody from the public would like to speak to the board, you'll have two opportunities, one now and one at the end of the meeting. If you'd like to come, just come to the podium, speak your name, and tell us what's on your mind. Okay, I see nobody. At this time, we'll ask for a constitutional officer. I have Mr. Bobby Schultz, our sheriff, and I have Michael McElroy. Which one wants to go first? All right. Stepped up to the plate.
Michael McElroy, Gilchrist County Tax Collector. First, Happy New Year to everyone. It's good to see everyone out on this whole day. As you know, every election cycle, the Department of Revenue requires us to determine whether we're going to be a budget or a fee office. Our office has always been a budget office, and we'd like to continue that for the next 4 years, and I've prepared a resolution to that effect for our chairman to sign, as well as our clerk, of course, probably. Are there any questions concerning that?
What's the difference between the two?
So fee would be, we would basically take our fees and we would have our own budget. Unfortunately, the fees that we generate, because our tax roll isn't as large as it would require for us to formulate enough money to be able to operate under a fee income. So therefore, we have to do a budget, which is why I come to you every budget year and present my budget to you, and we go that route. It is my goal to one day be a fee income before I leave office, but my finance director says it's not going to happen, so that pushes me farther.
How long is it, Michael?
4 years. It's each election cycle.
No, your resolution.
Oh, it's just one page.
Can you read it?
Sure.
For the record?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a number? Did they assign you a number?
They did, resolution 2025-25.
And it is actually on the screens as well.
It wasn't in our agenda though, was it? Okay.
No,
Not this resolution.
So a resolution of the Gilchrist County Board of County Commissioners and the Gilchrist County Tax Collector's Office, whereas Chapter 195.872 Florida statute sets forth the requirements for each tax collector to submit their annual budget to the Department of Revenue, and whereas the submission is not applicable to certain types of counties as identified within that section, and whereas one of the exceptions to submitting the budget to the department pertains to instances where A written resolution pursuant to section 145.022 Florida statute is in effect between the tax collector's office and the Board of County Commissioners, and whereas Michael McElroy, tax collector, hereby affirms that he will submit to the Board of County Commissioners projected revenues and expenses as required by section 195.087 Florida statutes annually for their approval, beginning with the 2024-2025 fiscal year, and whereas the tax collector's office wishes to adopt this method of submission and approval for the next 4 years, and whereas Michael McElroy, tax collector, agrees to operate said office as a budget constitutional officer. Now therefore be it resolved by the Gilchrist County Board of County Commissioners that they shall annually approve and budget funds necessary for the operation of the Gilchrist County Tax Collector's Office. And it's resolved this 23rd day of January 2025.
I could see where if you depended on fees that you would be limited to your services because you couldn't offer no more than what you took in. And with a budget, you can tell us what it would take for you to operate and offer the services that you do, and then your budget would be built around that. So I can understand the advantages, and of course, one day we may get to where we collect enough fees that you could operate within a certain amount, and that would be good too.
That's the goal.
That's the goal, but we're not there yet.
We're not there.
Michael, you're doing a great job from what I've
Thank you.
seen, and we appreciate everything you're doing. I'd make a motion that we approve your recommendation and approve 2025-25, the resolution.
If we could, we actually need to correct that to 2025-05. If we could.
2505, okay.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
We just need to redo it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith to approve Resolution 2025-05, recommendation from the tax collector, and we have a second from Commissioner Martin. Any discussion?
Public comment.
Yeah. Do we have any public comment? Hearing none, any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir, for
Thank you.
coming.
Good afternoon, Bobby Schultz, Sheriff Gilchrist County. Before I start to the business I had, I just want to say that this is a good-looking group of folks in front of me. I don't think there's ever been such a good-looking group ever in the history of county commissioners, clerks of courts, and attorneys, and
He must want some.
Yeah. Sheriff, is your request going to be similar to the last one?
probably not. I'm here to ask for a budget amendment to our existing budget to the amount of $361,879.56. This represents 5 new correctional positions for our new circuit jail to offset some staffing issues that we have.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll make a second.
I have a motion for Commissioner Thomas and a second from Commissioner Smith to approve the request from the Sheriff Department. I will say I sat down with Bobby and talked to him and also Buzzard and some of the complications they've had. Our goal was to get the jail open. We got it open. We said we had addressed the employees' need as we went along, and certainly that has come to test with some of the issues y'all have had. And I've had several residents and employees reach out to me about the difficulties that y'all are facing. And in talking with Buzzard and Bobby, this is what they're proposing, this is what their need is, and I'm certainly in favor of it for sure. Okay, any more discussion?
Yeah, I've also talked with the sheriff and been through the facility and heard the justification, and we've asked questions about how we compare to surrounding counties and for an inmate and employees per shift, and I think we're going to be similar, and I think it's a real need. We trust you, Sheriff, and I know you're working hard to keep costs down, budget down. I think all of our constitutional officers and our staff are trying to do that, and we appreciate that. The question is going to be, in my mind, how do we pay for it. And I talked to Mr. Newton earlier today, and maybe have some more that you can add related to that. I don't know if you've come up with any potential solutions or not, but, and I don't know if this is, I guess this is the time to discuss that.
Well, I talked to, Richard also myself, and the sheriff department did turn in, check my memory, about $186,000 was returned in from last year's budget, somewhere in that neighborhood. We can't just grab that money and it has to be submitted and do a budget transfer and all this kind of stuff. But if he turned in that, that's very, very helpful in moving forward with what he's requesting now. So it's almost half of it, or practically half of it or more. And so we're still gonna have to fund it, because right now, the way they operate, they just can't operate the way they're doing it, with so short on staff and so short on help. It's almost impossible, which we knew there were gonna be some issues when we talked about this 6 months ago. We knew there was gonna be, I took a couple tours of the jail, and I knew this was gonna be an issue. So it's not something that we are being blindsided with. It was anticipated, we just didn't know how much and when. So here we are. But yeah, it is a question of how we're gonna pay for it.
And I got someone from a citizen contacted me also, and I've spoken to the sheriff also, so.
I've spoken to the sheriff, so that's why.
There's two calls to the city. Let's talk to the sheriff.
Well, I wish I could tell you I've come up with a genius way that we're going to fund this going forward. Unfortunately, I don't really have that answer. We're going to have to pray that we have additional additions to our taxable value, new homes coming online. And pray that the economy continues to be stable, hopefully grow. Otherwise, we all know, there's potential challenges ahead. Yeah. The sheriff's indicated, what his needs are. I don't doubt the needs. I do question how we're going to pay for it long term. But at this point, I know the board has, had long conversations and, has worked through this as best they can. And, again, today, I think we have funds available to cover the need. I just don't know how we do it long term.
It's gonna be a reoccurring expense.
Correct.
Once we implement it, it's gonna be there from now on. But we also have a $10 million, $15 million jail that we've built, and now we've got to run it. And and I know the needs there. Not this last week, but the 3 weeks before, the front page of all the news agencies was, another drug bust. And they're out working the streets and getting these drug dealers off the street, but they got to have a place to put them, and then they got to have personnel to take care of them. And the hard part is the mandate. You got to have 2 officers here and 2 officers there, and you got to do this, and you got a fight going on. And I've talked to that with Bobby in depth, and it's just a real critical issue, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done. So I guess we can fund it with what we got and plan for the future. I don't know anything else to do.
I will say this, I do think we have a need in the future, like near future, to have a workshop, to discuss, potential, alternative revenue sources. I think that's something that we need to do sooner than later. There are some things that we could do. It won't necessarily help with this situation, but it would help with our overall situation, as well as potentially provide some means to give some relief to, property owners in Gilchrist County, by making some changes to the way that we do things. So.
Yeah, I also kind of related to that, ask our state association representatives if they have any ideas from whatever it is to help fund or raise revenue for law enforcement corrections. And so I haven't heard back from them, but maybe with your help, Mr. Newton, and all of us, we can gather information, have a workshop, and talk about some of those things. I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Well, so Sheriff, can I ask, I didn't ask you this earlier, I probably should have, but you're asking for 5, could you do it with 4? Okay.
So transportation, that's one of our needs right now, we have one transportation officer. We pull from everybody, as it is right now. And some of the folks that we're transporting, should and cannot be transported with one collection. It's not, we bring 9 or 10 people over here to the courthouse for court appearances. And then you have 3 other things that you gotta go pick up somebody. You're automatically on the plane and having pulled from other places. And it's been a challenge for the last 60 days trying to do that.
How about a new emphasis at the national level on immigration, illegal, how will that affect us? Do we know at this time? I mean, that's got potential, I think.
But the undersheriff and I was on a call today with the governor, what his intentions are, and on top of our new president's intentions on immigration. Well, I don't know of any large amount of illegal folks here in our county. I'm assuming there is some. If the governor has his way, they're going to be filling up our jails. They said that the 3 holding facilities for ICE right now is at 50% capacity. There's only 3 in the state of Florida. You're looking at an estimate of 10 million illegal aliens coming across the border. Whether we do them on traffic stops, whether, we arrest somebody on the case and they detain them, we're probably going to be stuck with them. And right now, when I walk in here, Captain Holly said that we're at about 50 inmates right now. So, will it affect us? I'm sure it will. To what extent? I don't know. But that's certainly, after today, was consideration, something that's always in the back of our mind. But this is going to be a priority. They're holding a special session. They believe they're going to put this on the ballot to make it a law to do certain things, which we're in compliance. We've been in compliance. But there's an opportunity and a chance that we're going to see an uptick of holding these folks until ICE can come get them and remove them and do what they're going to do with them.
I talked to Bobby earlier about, was he gonna be able to fill the positions, and he said, yeah, he had 4 people, I think you said already.
That's 5.
You already got 5 that are ready to move in, that have experience and are,
Well, even so, just to be fair, speaking to him and Captain Holly and Sheriff Willis, if you give the go-ahead today, I'm not sure what the chief needs or what you have to have here, but we will start the process immediately. You're still looking at around 6 weeks before you can go through our process, because it used to be hard to make them in there. Now they got to do a background check, a psychological test, all these other requirements. So you're looking at, on a lot of good luck, 4 weeks. So you're still 6 weeks away, which we're going to be on the overtime and doing what we're doing right now. But yeah, based on what the county did for us, get our raises, our money where it should be, I think it's safe to say we have a lot of folks in the correctional field that want to come to work for us. Mm-hmm. And he's assured me that we can place those 5 in just as soon as y'all get to go ahead, they'll be put on notice that we're going to hire them. We can do it.
Yeah, I talked to them also about that, and they told me that people already had applications in, so the hiring process is just a matter of green lighting it and getting them here and getting them trained. On the bottom of this report, Bobby, it says a new position, $90,512.32. What is that?
That's how much it costs per position. Our salary, if you have experience, is $55,000. Okay. 55,231.11. We have 20 pay periods. We have built-in overtime to include that. On top of that, 55,000. The taxes is roughly $5,500 to $6,000. Insurance costs is roughly $6,000 to $7,000. And retirement for employees at that rate of pay is roughly $16,000.
So that's what the new position comes out. That's what you budget for that.
$90,512.33 to hire a sworn law enforcement officer, and that's the rate that we're paying.
That's per position.
Yep. So you hear somebody says, well, they get $50,000 or $55,000 starting. Well, that is their starting pay.
Right.
The cost the county is $90,000.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Okay, any more discussion?
what was the exact amount that you're asking for again?
361,
360,
361,
879, 56.
361, 879.
56. That's 5 people.
Yep.
Any more discussion?
I Move to, approve.
We're
We
in
already have,
motion.
All right, that's right, the motion and second.
so we're gonna take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Thank you, sir.
Y'all have any more questions? I mean,
Thank you for what you do. Keep getting the drug dealers off the street.
Yep.
We'll find a place to put them if we have to do something.
we're gonna do, and I appreciate the support of everybody in this room. I know it's no easy task to make these decisions, but it's absolutely crucial. And
Yep.
I think it's certainly gonna be important. We live in the best county in America, but we're not, unfortunately, we still have some exposure some of these bigger cities have in bigger counties. But, we're under mandate, as some of y'all said, and we're gonna do the best to give them care, custody, control. Everybody who goes in that jail is somebody's kid. And, we don't make it a holiday for them. They understand that they are in a correctional facility and we continue doing it. And we're gonna keep trying to keep our citizens as safe as possible. And that's our mandate. And that's my oath and pledge to the citizens of this county. We're gonna keep doing it. We appreciate the hard decisions that you gotta make. I know what it is, and I appreciate it.
If we are required to, hold some of these, illegals, the government reimburses us for the expense of them being held here?
Talking to Captain Hawley, he's been tasked doing that. The best that we can tell is that they're here over 2 days, then they give us a certain amount of money. We believe it's roughly $50 a day per inmate. And, so if the process goes 6 months, which it probably won't, but say 6 months, you do that, $50 a day after the initial 2 days. Is that correct, Captain Hawley? Do you understand it? So, yeah, I mean, so we will get some financial considerations from that. Sometimes they get there quick, and like I said, they're already at 90-something% capacity in their holding facilities. We've got that many illegals out there that they're going to be trying to take into custody. They're going to take the bad ones is what they're going to. They want to get the bad ones off the street. Hopefully we don't have that here, but if we get reimbursed, if they take.
I want to thank Rob and Mr. Hawley too. They certainly do a fantastic job.
They do.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Any more constitutional officers? Okay. We'll move on to the county administrator, and I think the health department wants to come up first.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, first item is just our contract, with the, Department of Health, and, Ms. McPhillips here to discuss that.
See all of you, we're here for our annual course contract. There are no changes in the funding amount. Really, it's pretty much the same contract you see here at the programs and all of these.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Sharon Langford and a second from Commissioner Darrell Smith to approve the contract between Gilchrist County Board of County Commissioners and the State of Florida Department of Health for operation of the Gilchrist County Health Department, a contract year 2024-2025. Any discussion? Anybody from the public want to comment? Okay. No discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Right, I have real quick, talking to Earl Jones, he mentioned that the state of Florida is changing the environmental side.
Just the septic program.
Okay.
Transfer to protection, it's in the process of moving to our state.
Right.
We're looking at some.
Okay. And as far as how it will work, I guess we'll figure that out as we, have you heard, Bobby, or? Okay.
I brought that up a couple months ago. And
Okay.
I know Mr. Crosby's been talking to, Wesley.
I spoke to the gentleman in Tallahassee, and basically where they're at now is, they've started on their first transfer and they're learning as they go. So he said as soon as he has the information that he can provide to us to how he goes, and they have planned to maybe by July, but he actually told me he hopes they have it done by maybe November, December because of it, and they're learning as they go. once they get the first one done, he said he'll provide some information and would even be willing to come to one of the meetings, but let him figure out just how they're going to do the first one and get that done. They should be an office in the region here, but what they're trying to do is the people they hire, they'll have someone who is right here locally. They'll basically maybe work from home or satellite office, and then they'll be able to still commute just the way they're doing now. So they're trying to make it where we don't see any interruptions at all.
Just to say, and of course, the first phase of Panhandle County, and then we move to 162.
Yeah.
And because it was,
He said he didn't see meeting the deadlines that they had set because it was just too new of a program, and they're learning as they go.
right, and that's the more positions with every legislative session, but they won't get those positions, but they'll have from this session until July 1st.
So it's a process.
But they're gonna hire additional new positions, I'm not sure how, I'm just not sure how that's gonna be more, maybe it's not meant to be more efficient, but I'm sure they'll figure it out and let us know how they work.
Yeah, that was the thing. He said, yeah, I wish I could give you more information now, but he said, I really need to get this first one done, then I can tell you how it's gonna work.
Right.
Yeah. And at the time, he was the only person in that program trying to put it together, so they don't have 8 or 10 people, it's just him.
Thank you for all that you do.
Yes.
We appreciate it very
Is
much.
this, change gonna bring about the change in septic systems that I've heard's coming down over the next several years, where they have to have a charcoal layer or something like that? I heard a bunch of regulations coming down about septics and how they were gonna change and, of course, be more expensive to put in, but they were supposed to be better. Is that going along with this change, or?
I think that's a different part of the process. This is just management of the program itself.
Okay.
That's a separate regulation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes, sir. If we're ready, I have, first item is number 7 under animal control. This year we budgeted a vehicle. We budgeted $40,000 for a vehicle. We've been looking pretty hard to find one. She needed something closed in, and the purpose for that is to have a controlled environment for transports like Orlando, Ocala, Gainesville. And we searched the state contracts, but the type of vehicle she needs, they're in the 60,000 plus range, even on the state contract. So during our search, and we were working, and we found this on Big Bend. We found a Suburban. Miss Erica has looked at it. It will serve the needs. It has 91,887 miles, but the vehicle's in immaculate shape. And we can buy an extended warranty, which is $5,491. The vehicle and the warranty is $40,000 total. It would have been a little more, but I told them we only had 40,000, so they backed it
How often
down.
do we go to, Orlando?
I'll let Miss Erica answer his question.
This is our current animal control supervisor for Gilchrist County. It isn't today, actually.
How much?
Probably 2 to 3 times a month.
Okay. I just think putting $40,000 in a vehicle that almost has 100,000 miles, is there any way the white SUV that we have or the gray one, can those be used? Or-
The gray one's used every day already.
Okay.
The white one
Can somebody use one of our trucks or something instead of the SUV? Because you could transport in that, in the gray one. Like, who uses the gray one then?
our guy our maintenance, janitorial service person, he has all his janitorial supplies in the back that goes from building to building.
Is there a truck he could use or something? So maybe.
We could see we'd have to put a topper or something on it because the stuff he has to stay dry as well, but I don't know if that Explorer would hold enough.
What about the white SUV we have?
They can use it anytime they would want. Yeah.
I'm just thinking, putting putting almost $40,000 into a vehicle that already has 100,000 miles on it. It's just,
It does come with a warranty that is for 3 years, 45,000 miles, and we'd only have a $200 deductible.
that's just a lot of money for a used vehicle for,
I mean, we
in
can go
my
back
opinion.
and look more towards a new one or come back with a different idea, but,
Or
the
if we
other
only
thing
use
is.
it three times a month.
No,
you-
no, that's food. They go to once a week, or how many times you go to the, vet?
This week, but I mean, my truck tires over 200 and something, almost 250. It's still okay. I mean, I maintain it. And the other truck is actually the one that she drove today is his old truck, and it has almost 300,000, and it does make it Orlando. But I mean, it's more like when we get food pickup, and it is only once a month. But I mean, it usually rains on those days for some reason. I don't know why, and it'll rain, and we're having to cover up with tarp. U.S., like I said, we're over there. This week was bad, but you know, people that work at U.S. don't like you cramming dogs into a dog box.
You go to Orlando to get food?
No, I go to Ocala, Chewy Warehouse to get the food, so about 45 minutes an hour.
What about, you said you went to Orlando or?
To Orlando, that's our rescue. It just depends on how many I have done. Like I said, I had 17 yesterday, but most of them were newborn puppies, so.
So that's what you go
It's
to?
better than me taking care of spending all the money, and then driving 2.5 hours is nothing compared to the money and time that it takes me to bottle feed and take care of.
So that's what you go to Orlando for is to, yeah.
Or the ones that I take to U.S. and get spayed and neutered, they're all ready to go to adoption, and the only all the PetSmarts around here are taken. So the rescue in Orlando we've been working with for 15 that I've been here, and probably 4 years or 5 years when it used to be a pole barn in Trenton. So we had this connection for 20 years, I would say.
Who uses the white SUV?
That's the one I drive when I need a vehicle.
Okay. Is there a truck you could, what about the black truck you used to drive? Who drives it?
Road department.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have any extra vehicles. I mean,
Yeah,
as
I
far
just
as
think it's
an
just,
extra.
you know,
I mean,
hate to
I don't mind letting them
$10,000.
use that white vehicle, don't get me wrong, but if you're gonna let them use it, it just needs to be transferred to them because, it's gonna need to be set up for them to be able to haul the animals in. And, you know, can't really move it back and forth because time they go to Gainesville, time they go to Ocala, time they go to Orlando, I mean, they'll use it quite a bit, but I mean, it's fine, let them use the white. I mean,
I just know with potential challenges that the clerk mentioned earlier, you know, I just hate putting that much money into something that's already almost 100,000 miles.
And then if we were to purchase a new one, is there renovations that gotta be done to the back of it? Are they gonna have to rip like the back seats out of it or anything like that?
they would just fold down.
Okay, they just
fold
fold
down and
down.
buy one.
Okay,
You'd
I
have
just
to buy
didn't
one
know
of those
how
rubber
it
mats
was
that
set
goes
up
in
and
there.
what actually she had to put in the back.
I do the same thing. I use crates, so,
Okay.
you know, we put the same thing. We have the one truck that has the new dog box on.
And then a lot of these people frown on you not, when you, in the heat of the summer or the cold of the winter or different times,
Oh, yeah.
they're frown on because you don't have them climate controlled. when
Do
you
we
transfer.
have money in the budget for this?
We
vehicle?
budgeted 40,000.
40,000. Can you go back and look at what other possibilities there are, either internal or external? And, I mean, I kind of agree with Commissioner Langford that
Okay.
91,000 miles, 40,000, I'm not sure I would do that. But I understand the need that you have to be enclosed, and I know we need it, probably. It's just, can y'all go back and look?
Yep, we already have some other options. We just have to bring them to you. We were just trying to.
Didn't Lindsay Smith usually volunteer to haul your dogs for
She
you?
still does, but she's so busy lately that
She does it for nothing, right?
she does it for free. Yeah, she does a lot for free. But yeah, she has a Toyota Sequoia, and it's big, it's roomy. I mean, I don't necessarily need anything that big, but I mean, it would be nice. It would be nice. I mean, it would be as many as I can get in, as many crates as I can get in there, I'm gonna get in there.
And I'm telling you, used vehicles ain't cheap.
No, they're not.
This is in the market put in place right here. I mean, we bought an Expedition not too long ago, and this model and these miles is not out of
This ain't out of whack.
No, it ain't out of whack, but
I make a
But then
motion.
again, 100,000 miles is quite a few miles. Depends on
Maybe
what kind
get
of
the
miles it
warranty
is.
and everything, vehicle took care of, they last 200, 300,000.
Is the warranty at this price, or is the warranty an additional?
No, it's
Additional.
included in the price.
Oh,
Bring it up to 40.
Okay,
Yeah, we don't have to
yeah,
pay
if you're
it.
getting the warranty too, then that's very much in the ballpark.
I make a motion to purchase vehicle.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion to purchase the vehicle for animal control for the price presented. And I have a second from motion from Commissioner Thomas and a second from Commissioner Martin.
The reason I am for it is we have budgeted, some money for it. It's obvious the vehicles she all have over 100,000 on them already, so they're used. If this one's set up to do what it needs to do, if it's been well-maintained and Bobby says it's immaculate condition, then 100,000's a lot of miles, but I would hope she could easily get another, if it's driven correctly and everything, and I'm sure she would. I would think they could probably get another 100,000 out of it very easily.
And it wouldn't be every time. Like,
And-
it wouldn't be every single time. Like, we do have a newer truck that I think has 50,000, like with the new dog box. So it almost kind of depends on who I got and where I got to network and where this person has to go, or if it's just me or the part-time person. It wouldn't be every time. It would be maintained. It would be taken care of.
I don't think you're gonna find a better dog. I don't think they'll let in what we got.
They're
Very
good.
few dogs.
And I
Good at
know they're
animal
busy.
control. Do a good job.
Yep, we appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you.
I just wish we could change things so it wouldn't be so complicated for her and have so many animal problems. That's just the issue, and that's what I keep going back to is if people would just be more responsible for their pets, a lot of her problems would go away.
I agree, but if people follow protocols, the
I
right
know.
protocols to get us there,
Yeah.
then there's not a time that you don't show up.
You gotta deal with it,
People
and
get
you do.
tired of it, and that happens 18 times, and then that's the one time they call, but it's never been reported 18 times, it's only been reported once, but then they take it out like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, you do a
Also,
fantastic.
the protocols are followed.
Yeah.
You know, call the right places, put the online complaints in, there will be.
You do a great job. I'm just saying, I wish we could relieve you some with some different rules.
Being rural has a lot to do with it.
Okay?
Mr. Chair, if we could include in the motion that we're waiving the bidding requirement due to the fact this is a used vehicle.
What was that now?
If we could include in the motion that we're waiving the bidding requirements due to the fact that this is a used vehicle.
Okay,
We
So
changed
moved.
it.
okay.
That's fine with me.
Fine with you? Okay. We're gonna waive the bidding requirements because it is a used vehicle. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Ah,
Motion passed. Vehicle.
Got a question.
Oh, we got a question? Sure. Yeah.
I think you have a 4:30 time certain.
Oh, we do, okay. I'll get down to that real quick. Okay, Mr. Lane?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna take this one. This is a request by Ronald E. Parrish for Parrish Land Surveying LLC as agent for owner Scotty L. Hodge and Natalie D. Hodge, seeking approval of a replat of a portion of lots 3 and 4 of Gilchrist Farm, a subdivision as per plat recorded in Plat Book 1, pages 88 through 90 of the public records of Gilchrist County, Florida, in Section 8, Township 9 South, Range 15 East, Gilchrist County, to be known as Hodge Farms in an agricultural A2 land use category, Location address is shown by the Gilchrist County Property Appraiser's Office as 1940 Southwest 15th Way and Southwest 15th Avenue Road. Tax parcel numbers 08, 09, 15, 0075, 40, 0041, and 08, 09, 15, 0075, 40, 0030. This is a legislative matter, and I'm taking charge of this because Mr. Parrish and I have been working on this for a long, long time, trying to get this matter rectified, straightened out, based on the replat that was recommended or requested by Mr. and Ms. Hodge. We did a notice of public hearing. It was published one time on January the 9th, and then, of course, the premises were posted with a sign at the location. The staff report that's included up there on the screen, page 1, of course, has the request again, and it shows the particulars about the parcel number, the location, the number of acres. The parcel size is 29.18 acres. It is a portion of lots 3 and 4 of Gilchrist Farms subdivision as per plat, recording plat book 1, page 88 through 90. We have described the future land use of the area, which is agriculture. It's all 3 of the parcels. On the north, there's one on the north side. There are 2 parcels that are on A2, and it's single-family residential, and one other single-family residential, which also is described by the property appraiser as pasture and cropland. On the east side, that's agricultural. That has an A5 zoning, and there's 1 parcel, and that's timberland. On the south side is agricultural, A2, that's 1 parcel. That's single-family residential and timberland. Then on the west side, that's agricultural, A2. There's 2 parcels. 1 parcel single-family residential, and 1 parcel is single-family residential with pasture and cropland. There aren't any known historic resources located on the subject property. No known natural resources located on the subject property. And again, what Mr. and Ms. Hodge are attempting to do is bring that large parcel in compliance where their homestead is located on one section of it. They'd like to redefine the boundary lines to allow single-family residential uses and ag use on each parcel. Both will comply with the minimum A2 lot size requirements of A2. And again, a replat is nothing more than a minor subdivision plat that's done within a particular subdivision lot. And again, because these were all developed for the horse farm and on large acreage, there's enough land there that this doesn't seem to create an issue. There are numerous other replats of larger lots located within the Gilchrist Farms subdivision. This is also, as I mentioned a moment, the proposed replat appears to meet the criteria of a minor subdivision pursuant to the definitions that are found at section 10.02 of the Gilchrist County Land Development Code, and specifically at section 10.0703 that's entitled Modified Procedure for Minor Subdivisions. I've included, you'll see a lot of paperwork there. That actually, the recommendation from me would be that this is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the land development code. All the property has an approved future land use designation as agricultural with a zoning designation of A2. A portion of both parcels with front and take direct access from an existing public roadway. We'll look at that in just a moment, the way that Mr. Parrish has it drawn. The replat would be known as Hodge Farms, which is a replat of a portion of lots 3 and 4 of Gilchrist Farms. There are covenants and restrictions out in the Gilchrist Farm subdivision. This replat would be subject to all those existing covenants and restrictions. The Board of County Commissioners does not assume responsibility or liability for any violation of those covenants and restrictions, nor for any violation or compliance with the homeowners association rules of that subdivision, which they're governed by both of those things. We had a title search report done, which is required when you're doing a plat. Unfortunately, it had an error in it. It said that this property was encumbered by a mortgage. Further research by Mr. Parrish and Mr. Hodge discovered it just had been failed to be picked up by the title company. And so what I would like to do, I wanna file with the clerk an updated, certificate of title report from Mr. Douglas McCoy from Gilchrist, Title Services, or Security Title. This states that the property is free and clear of any, encumbrances out there. So that's gonna change up the resolution that we're gonna go to in just a moment. I just wanted to first say also that if you look at the attached information with your staff report, right after the staff report, you'll see a miniaturized version of a replat of a portion of lots 3 and 4 of Gilchrist Farms. It's up on the screen, should be in the paperwork there in front of you. That's a mighty small reduction, so if you have any questions, we have the larger plat. Mr. Parrish was required to furnish a large plat plus a boundary survey of the lot itself. Both of those are being filed with the clerk, as well as the title search and the updated title opinion that shows the property is not encumbered. But if you look at it, you'll see the road on the northwest corner, and you'll see the road as it's drawn that comes straight through the center of that property. It's a 2-lot division. You got lot 1 that's shown on the map on the top right, and you see on the bottom, and that's vacant, and then on the bottom is Scotty and Natalie's homestead property. That's designated on this map as lot 2. Over on the top left portion of that map, yep, to the top there next to the road, that's where Miss Nancy Rose homestead is located, and it's not being included in this replat. But of course, her home is there, and that's her homestead. Scotty and Natalie's home is there, that's their homestead, and they're wanting to reconfigure the property lines to allow usage of the one that's designated on the replat as lot 1. So that's, I think, kind of clarifies what the intent is. And as I stated, Mr. Parrish has also created a replat that would be subject to review by the county's planning organization. I think Mr. Crosby's already spoken with them. So the recommendation is to approve the replat subject to compliance with all the homeowners association restrictions, covenants and restrictions, as well as having the replat approved by North Florida Professional Services surveyor. I've included the application as well as the authorization for Mr. Parrish to act as the agent for the Hodges, and copy of the deed, copy of the property appraiser's information. The title search report is being supplemented with the updated report that I'm going to file today. And the rest of that documentation, which is pretty voluminous, deals with the horse farm, with the restrictions and homeowners association documents for the Gilchrist Farms subdivision. So that being said, that would conclude the staff report. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have. And once we get the applicant, if they would like to speak and further comment, then we would move forward to our resolution on that.
So there's no issue with Capital City anymore? You said that?
No, no, and I'm gonna file this with the clerk. It has been updated. Mr. Parrish might want to speak to that, but, when we got the initial report, which is required, it showed that there was an unsatisfied mortgage out there. Come to find out, I think that mortgage was paid off back in 2014 or something, years ago. But it had not been picked up on the title search. So Mr. Parrish then contacted, Mr. McCoy, who went back through the file, saw the satisfaction of the record that was on file, and updated his, attorney's title opinion that goes along with his, title report. Okay?
Public comment? Anybody want to come up?
Gene can probably do a better job explaining this thing than I did.
Gene Parrish and Parrish Land Survey, and, yeah, I'll be glad to answer any questions y'all might have.
Were any
I
questions?
don't have any questions.
None about,
With us?
none about the replat, the map itself?
No.
Okay.
You did a good job
Yeah,
explaining.
good job.
Yeah.
Gene taught me well.
Mr. Parrish always does a good job.
Yeah, he does. We know if he's done it, it's done
He's done it
right.
forever, so he knows how to do it right.
I have the utmost confidence in him. I'm
I do.
gonna hate to see him go, to be honest with you, because you're comfortable dealing with Mr. Parrish.
Yep.
Where you going, fishing, or where you going, Gene?
Just taking a little time.
Retiring.
Probably get back in first. Got a few honeybees to take care of.
You still don't feel that unhelped a little bit, ain't you?
I'm there about every other week. I got something pulls me back in and I still got some hooks in it.
Well, you got a lot of history and knowledge with you.
Yeah.
You and your daddy.
Yeah, and, actually, he was there for a long time, but, I had 50.
50 years.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
For sure, it's an accomplishment.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd make a motion, we approve resolution number 2025-02.
Second.
We need to do that with the corrections.
Yeah, I think we need to ask if there's any public comment.
Yeah.
We did already.
We did.
Signposting
We did.
first, if there is, and then we'll move into that resolution.
Okay, any more public comment? Okay, you want
Okay.
to accept the motion or go to the resolution?
Let me read the resolution and then, remake the motion if we could.
Okay.
It's resolution number 2025-02. It's a resolution approving a replat of a portion of lots 3 and 4, Gilchrist Farms subdivision, as per plat recorded in Plat Book 1, pages 88 through 90 of the public records of Gilchrist County, Florida, in Section 8, Township 9 South, Range 15 East, Gilchrist County, Florida, to be known as Hodge Farms, and providing an effective date. That's reading by title only. The resolution itself has to be corrected, which I have also included as part of the resolution, that when properly corrected and executed, the plat to be approved by the Gilchrist County Attorney prior to we filing it in Mr. Newton's office. And what we're going to have to do is, you'll see it in the resolution at item number 3. It states that the title search and report provided shows there's an existing mortgage on the property in favor of Capital City Bank. That's not correct. That's going to be taken out of the revised resolution. And then when the reviewing surveyor looks at the plat that Mr. Parrish has provided, then that's going to come back to me. And if I see that he signed off on it, then we'll circulate it around for execution and get it over to Mr. Newton's office to be recorded.
So you're going to delete number 3 altogether?
Pardon me?
You're going to delete number 3 altogether, or just change the language?
It's going to be deleted altogether.
So I make a motion, we approve resolution number 2025-02 as corrected, revised. Mr. Lang ends up.
I second it.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner Sharon Langford to approve resolution 2025-02 with the updates and corrections that needs to be made. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
I'll revise that and get it over to Ms. Karen tomorrow, and then she can get it signed by Mr. Langford next week, okay? Because it's gonna take a day or two when they send the replat up to North Florida to look over and get it back for Gene to take and get everything signed, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gene.
Here we had another one at 445.
I'll go ahead and introduce this next one, and then I'm gonna let Mr. Pittman take it over, or Mr. Pittman and Mr. Pittman here. Pittman and Pittman, yeah.
Make it sound like attorney, probably.
I slipped on the way in.
Y'all make more than a turn.
I was fixing to say, I haven't seen your advertisement on TV yet.
As you know, we've been working on our vulnerability study. We received a grant to cover this, and there's a series of public meetings that we're required to have. So we had one, if you remember, a little while back, and this will be the second public meeting. So if at this time, I'm not sure who's starting off, but we'll let them go through the public meeting presentation.
My only involvement so far, and hopefully tonight, is gonna be the attendance sheet. I'm gonna start up here with you all to get it. They asked us to collect this specifically for this time slot to make sure who was here. They wanna make sure they have a good accounting of who was here for it, as far as participation goes. Anybody listening to the voice recording or video after the fact, if you have any comments, please email those to us. It should be in the slide, the email contact to email with. But just know that anybody not here tonight, or if anybody reaches out to you all, call us, email us with questions or concerns or suggestions. That's certainly part of it. Just because you're not here tonight on this list does not mean you can't comment. We just need it in writing form of some kind, so we can record that and submit that as part of our submittal to BOCC. So.
Let me make sure I know what I'm doing here. So, no big screen right here.
It does all of them automatically.
Okay. Well, anyway, thank you for having us, and this is a part of the Gilchrist Vulnerability Assessment Study. It's a requirement to have several public meetings. DEP and DEM are very serious about wanting to get public input and to make sure that all the stakeholders in the county are involved and have the opportunity to comment on what we do in this study. I am Jim Pittman of Pittman Engineering. We're moving along pretty well with the study. So the status is we've kind of gone through, got a whole bunch of parcels. There are publicly owned parcels. They're not private properties in this study. At this point, we've kind of identified some areas that we think are the most vulnerable. We're going to get into some discussion on that. Ultimately, we will begin to narrow that down into a select few that we think we've moved forward with some sort of a project that will armor or mitigate or take some of the flooding vulnerability away from those parcels. So that's kind of part of where we are. I'm going to back up a little bit for those who may not know. The state of Florida several years ago came up with the idea that they needed to have an overall state plan that was kind of born of sea level rise and the concerns that people had about climate change and sea level rise. So they developed a program. It's called Resilient Florida. And as a part of that, they went out and they gave grants to a lot of the counties, basically all the counties. So they want each county to provide input to a statewide plan. So ultimately, there'll be this map somewhere in the state of Florida that will show you thousands and thousands of areas that are in some way vulnerable to either sea level rise, storm surge from hurricanes, or localized flooding that can be identified on like a FEMA flood risk map. So again, it's funded by a state grant. The study has assessed and identified public assets in Gilchrist County that are vulnerable to flooding. Again, it's not private property, it's public and county and municipally owned property. There is a thing called a steering committee. It's myself, Bobby, some of the commissioners, and a couple of folks that represent the municipalities of Fanning Springs and Bell. We'll all get together after some of the input from this meeting, and we'll begin to talk about how we can finalize a focus area, 10 to 15 properties that we really need to hammer down on. So that's where we're headed. But we do need your input. And I hope that we get a little bit more input than it looks like we might get from tonight's smaller crowd. But anyway, the state said that we would identify these properties in four main categories, called four asset categories. Transportation, which of course is going to be your roads and your bridges. In some places they have railroads and airports, not so much here. Critical infrastructure, which is predominantly your sewer and water treatment systems, communication facilities, electrical power production, critical community and emergency facilities, and this is where you get schools, hospitals, jails, EMS, law enforcement, healthcare facilities, and state government buildings. And in the final category, natural, cultural, and historic facilities. That's going to be mostly our parks. They list wetlands in here, but I haven't really figured out how you change your wetland to make it less vulnerable to flooding, and why that's a bad idea. But
Aren't wetlands designed to flood, isn't that?
I don't really know what they want to do with a wetland that gets a little water.
So I've kind of given you an overview about the steering committee. Again, we'll start putting a lot of this together in front of the steering committee in a meeting and help them to have the conversations about which one of these projects, based on the data collected, we want to move forward with. Here's a list of the committee members. We've been having discussions with various people from the public, and safety officials, the road department, Parks and Recreation staff, and just various groups that represent some of the other parts. So I need to give a good bit of explanation before I move into all of this. What you have here, and I will have some copies of this for the public. It's a great many, but I do have some to hand out to anybody who wants to take one later. So the steps that we use to begin to identify the most vulnerable properties started with the list of basically about 146 publicly owned properties that came from the property appraiser site, was the main source of knowing which properties to consider, and then some others that people told us about to add to the list. So we started with over like 146. I do need to mention that we did not include any that were within the town of Trenton. The town of Trenton went out, sought, and received their own vulnerability study grant, and so that's being done by a different consultant, I think, North Florida. So we did not go forward with any of the Trenton properties, and there are quite a few, of course, that you would think about, but they're going to be covered under that study, not this one. So once we got all those, I went around and I surveyed in elevations, a critical elevation, I'll call it, at each one of those 140-something sites. And the purpose for that is to kind of establish a baseline of where we would begin to get into trouble if we had water rise. So the study requirements tell us that we needed to look at three things. One was sea level rise. If you go, and there are lots of different places that will have these models that predict what a sea level rise will do to us in the year 2050, 2075, and way on out. They vary. But the good news is, as an inland county, Gilchrist County is not too concerned about sea level rise, other than the fact that everybody may move this way. But they do have a map, and it indicates that there could potentially be some sea level rise impacts along the Swanee River. It doesn't really come up much past the southern end of the county, so for the purpose of this study, we've made that reference in the report. But we don't really follow through with going and trying to establish there's something going on in the middle of Gilchrist County based on sea level rise. So that is in the report, and that's kind of why we focus now on the two other categories that I want you to look at. And one is hurricane storm surge. And that basically is based on the National Hurricane Center storm surge map. And so what they do is they separate it. If you look up in the categories, it's got a category 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 hurricane. That's hurricane level. And they have these maps and models that predict what level of flooding inundation moves out from the riverbank based on that storm. So that was one of the items that we looked at. The other was the FEMA flood map 100-year storm event, which is readily available to most people, and they kind of know that those maps are a good big picture starting point. They're not always real accurate because some of the science that are based on that's trying to upgrade those maps, they still have a little bit of places where I would question whether they're accurate or not. That being said, those were kind of the ways that we had to identify our parcels and the potential vulnerability of flooding. So storm surge along the river based on a hurricane and the 100-year flood. So once we did that, there are some ways they tell you to begin to kind of prioritize them as a high impact, medium impact, low impact. That's what the color coding on this is. Red is a high impact, orange, medium impact, low impact is yellow. And that is basically just based on somebody's prediction of the amount of inundation you would get at a site based on that storm event. For instance, on some of these categories, category 4 storm, for one of them, it says you should expect between 3 to 6 feet of depth of water above existing ground. So using those depths of waters, they kind of tell you the categories at high, medium, and low. So that's what's indicated in this picture. That's what those color codings represent. And to kind of break it down into a nutshell, what you'll get is there really are four main areas. And one, of course, is all the many public boat ramps along the river. The Otter Springs Park area, the Hart Springs Park area, and the Santa Fe Park at State Road 47. So, and I don't know if going forward if that's what's going to be the focus areas, but that's what we're going to begin to discuss and talk about just exactly what the impact is and what can you do about it. So along those lines of what can you do about it, I think Bill at one point you said, what do you do to a boat ramp? And I agree with that. There's not really a whole lot you can do. You can't really raise the boat ramp. So what you have to do with boat ramps is basically prepare for the erosive effects of having high water up around a boat ramp. So a lot of the pictures and the things that I've looked up basically are related to erosion control with either revetments or some type of armament of the existing soils and slopes around the boat ramp. Making sure that things are kind of bolted and not floating off those poles, for instance. So those are some possible mitigation actions to reduce impacts of boat ramps. The next kind of area we talked about was buildings. Here are some things they say you could do. Elevate the building. Obviously, that's a little expensive, difficult. Use flood-resistant materials. That's good if you're building something new. You know, if you're in a flood zone area like that, these types of materials are not going to be damaged from moldy or rot. Not real practical for a retrofit type option because it'd be very expensive. It does talk about raising all of your electrical, your HVAC, sewer, electrical, all that kind of stuff, getting it up above the base flood elevation. Backflow preventers, check valves on sewer systems. And then it was kind of neat because one of the things that they really is a primary source for stopping floodwaters around buildings are flood barriers. And the picture you see up there is actually exactly that. That was a temporary barrier that was recently used at Hart Springs. And if you can see, the water is all around it. But Brian told me that they really didn't have a whole lot of trouble with water getting through the barrier. That it worked very well. I mean, they had to have a little bit of pumping. But that is an opportunity for some of these critical buildings is to be able to maybe through a grant have these barriers supplied somewhere ready for use. Sewer treatment, water treatment type systems. Again, they keep talking about elevating these systems, which that's a lot of money. And so again, it may be that the opportunity there is to have another one of these flood barriers around some of these sewer plants or sewer treatment systems. A lot of picnic pavilions are in this study. Other than picking it up and building it on higher ground, I guess you go in there and you just have to clean up and correct erosion or sediment buildup and make sure garbage cans and dumpsters are removed or emptied prior to flood event. And then the last little area was roads. We have a lot of county roads that run back and forth through the Waukesha Flats area. Those are predominantly the ones that are shown up in the study as being vulnerable to flooding. I know we've done some projects in the past where based on bigger storm events like 500-year events that occurred in the area, we went in and we raised profile grades for half a mile or something. Very expensive, but outside of that, elevating the roadway profile, there's really not a whole lot you can do except hope that maybe after the storm recedes and the water goes away, that you don't have a whole lot of base failures or something. But so those are some potential mitigation actions. So the study and the associated report will be used by the steering committee to help to prioritize which critical assets need to move forward as a part of the study, established as a focus area. And let me get up with my notes here a little bit. And the focus area will be established from input and with evaluation discussion of the steering committee. Gilchrist County will then be able to submit applications for grant funding to address the focus areas on a priority basis. The state of Florida will select certain candidate projects, if you will, and they will fund them for future implementation to fix things or to provide barriers, stuff like that. So our study hopefully identifies the right kind of projects in the right areas that will be identified by the state and funded for some sort of good action. Again, the predominant reason for holding this is to get public comment and information from anybody that wants to provide it. I'm going to give you an opportunity to come to the podium to speak, or you can come talk to me. I've got my email address up there and phone number. So at this time, I think I'll just get out of the way and open it up to the floor if anybody would like to comment or ask questions about what we discussed so far.
I'd like to ask something, or if it's time to ask something. I know it just says possible mitigation, actions would be relocating the pavilions. Are you talking about the closed-in pavilions? Yeah, I don't know how, I don't know about relocating those because, you know, a lot of elderly people, you know, they come and, you know, they like to be close to the water and watching their grandchildren. I don't know about, moving those. Now, the closed one, you know, is different, but just the open pavilions, you know, where they're at closer to the springs, that's always been something positive at Heart Springs that people like.
Yeah, and what I put up there were things that I found from different, you know.
I mean, you move, you're going to have to move way, way far away, and it's not going to be anywhere close.
And that's why I said, I think in that case, a lot of cases for a lot of these facilities and assets, you're just going to have to kind of let the water recede and they'll clean up. If you can do things that would make the clean up or would
but everything else is good.
Effects better, I think that's what we have to really talk about a little more in depth later.
That's all I have to say.
Any more public comment? Anybody want to say anything or address the committee?
When would the follow-up with the steering committee be?
Well, we need to have it pretty quick. So we'll continue to receive as much input as we can, maybe from online sources or from emails, but we need to have it pretty quick because the deadline on the study is coming. And, so I would like to say maybe within a week and a half or so, I'll send something out that we might have a meeting in that period. And, so I've kind of highlighted some things that were suggested focus areas based on, we don't really know exactly what we do with boat ramps necessarily. But some of the park areas, the park buildings, some of those things that are particularly vulnerable, so that would be my suggestion of where we start looking at it for focus areas. But we'll have the meeting pretty quick. I'll get that out pretty quick.
Yeah, it would be hard to relocate some, and like Commissioner Langford said, like the boat ramp at 47, there's two pole barn top facilities there. When the river rises, they get wet, it goes down, and we clean them up and start over. And that's about the only thing you could really do. I mean, you could build new ones, but then they wouldn't be close to the water where everybody could enjoy them, stuff like that. So,
For everything,
I'm not promoting that. I'm going to go on record. I'm not promoting
No.
that.
Well, I know the study's being done, and it's probably helpful for future use like that. And I noticed the roads on there, 138, 340, 232, they all go through the Walker's Flats, and it would take a lot of water to do much damage there. And I've seen 232 underwater before, seen 47 underwater before in my lifetime. But you know,
129.
it don't happen on a regular basis, and I don't know of anything you could do to go back and correct it unless you took this study and say, you know, it's in the 100-year floodplain, we're going to redo the road, which would be very expensive and probably foolish to do because the water will come up in it.
Typically, roads nobody designs roads to be that high.
No, and there's no damage.
We have consistent problems and it affects lifestyle and hardships, and you know, you try to do something, but again, the state roads, that would be DOT's responsibility, and they're fully aware of it.
Yeah.
And they have some direction from the governor to identify their focus areas.
Right.
There'll be some stuff done to those that'll be result of the whole resilience program.
And usually when this happens, there's not a lot of damage done, the water comes up, it can, cause people not to be able to go down the road or use the road, might have to have an alternative route or something, but.
And a lot of times, the ones that are really bad are actually 500-year type storms that we seem to have had few of recently.
Yes. And I can see where,
That's fixing people's minds.
I could see where a study like this would be a lot more helpful on a coastal community, Cedar Keys, Dane Hatchie, place like that, than it would be where we are.
Yeah.
Because usually when the storm gets to us, it's not that powerful, thank the Lord.
And that's kind of what it's there.
Yeah,
Yeah, just about everything's related to the river flooding
Yeah.
and a lot of times when the river floods, it's not because we've had a lot of rain, it's because Georgia's had a lot of rain. I know farmers around here are running irrigation pumps, irrigating their crops, yet the river's up 6, 8, 10 feet out of the bank, so, it all, my concern is the bridges, and what kind of damage is done when we get a flood or we get that kind of rain. I don't know, how they're engineered to be able to withstand extra amounts of water and debris, logs and whatnot going down the river, but, so.
Well, I can tell you that in the county roads that are listed, you've got the Cow Creek bridges, across the two county roads, and those are relatively new. They should be fairly resilient. Worst problem I would expect anything like that would be any relative issue, maybe around head walls and stuff. Anyone else? All right, well then, that will conclude the public meeting. I thank you for the time, and, we'll be meeting soon.
Thank you all.
Oh.
Just a reminder, you guys think of anything, anybody comes to you, this isn't now or never, this is a continual thing, so anytime between now and we finalize the report, if anybody has input, please let us know. We want to make sure we put as much input as we can into this study, that's the whole point of it. But I realize you may get bits and pieces here and there, but anything you hear of, please send to us. We want to make sure we include it and kind of consider it as we finalize the report.
okay.
All right,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much, man,
Thank y'all.
appreciate it.
Y'all wanna take a break or go to Bobby's?
How much more Bobby got to do? Might take a quick break.
Okay, let's take about a 5-minute break and then we'll start back with number 8, Bobby's. Everything, anything, Karen?
Yes, I'll talk about that in just a minute. Got these emails back, tell me about it, some of them are in the seminary stages right now, so we'll. When are you ready to say? Next year, probably.
Well, we're doing the design right now. We have a
Okay.
grant for design, and we'll have to turn that in, in the paving.
Should be, or we don't know.
We sold
Well,
it to Councilman.
I always say should be until they give us the
Councilman had
contract,
a
okay?
grandson
But
here,
now that,
and they bought that, started building horse barns and that sort of thing. It was Van Lennep family from Kentucky, that's who they sold to. And Van Lennep then kept it for 4 or 5 years, and they sold to Dr. Andrews and Dr. Cunningham, who started North Florida Hospital. And then
one
they
day I'll do that, and it'll work
incorporated
perfect the
that
next
into
time it
Barbara,
does.
a lawyer from over
We
there,
are doing
put
the
together
design right now
Gilchrist
for
for
next year.
That's who did it. Made it down for I think.
Should get the
We
funding.
sold it for nothing, and they sold it for.
It's already in the queue to be funded.
We did.
I don't like to never say we're going to.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
already in.
They let it just fall down and build another one right next to it, where I lived up there in the hills, when you first turn past Monk Griffin and Julia Bass, you know, up there. And they built another one later. That house was used for the manager building for a long time, but finally they just walked away and we can fix the roof, build a house.
Thank y'all. Appreciate you,
And then
man.
it went there all the way back through the woods to my mama's farm.
No,
It looks
we'll
up
probably
to
have a
us
good,
on the backside.
I think when we have our, meeting,
Oh, it's been.
the group,
And his stepfather, but.
Stan and may or may not show up, but I think,
About 50 acres, 40 acres, they can put it together.
I think we'll get some pretty good stuff.
Come in there, take what you like.
Yeah, my son behind Kenny Kinsey's house, and that side of
Yeah.
it, and the rest of it all the way up there to Gator Pond.
Well, and when y'all set that meeting, I'll even send Trip a message myself from Fannin, say, hey, man.
Yeah, but you know, back in days, you couldn't even give land to it.
Uh-huh.
Didn't have no money, just had to pay the taxes. They couldn't farm it out.
They found out.
Yeah, that's why they ended up selling, they loved it. Too much tax. Then everything's slave and everything.
We reached out to all of them, so.
You know? Yeah, that's where I was, that was about 14 we lived out there, and then grandma had to go to nursing home, so dad remodeled her house where Burke Feather is now.
Okay.
And we lived there till I got almost out there. I think I was a senior when they built that house out there.
That time I seen your grandma, she was
No,
London at the Capital City Bank in the Taylor Street. That's very so sorry about that. But I just gotta get down, I'm gonna try to, he wrote the whole damn car with first to the wind. Yeah, her kids with the left, they're probably sitting there waiting, he just goes there, bringing a chair.
well, I was probably off at law school, wasn't here to keep up with it, so just as soon as I got that, my family back over to me, and then Carol kept it. He's losing. She's in a 90, I think she's 94 when she got killed.
Yeah, there's many ads with it for me.
It is, it is.
Thank you.
She made a video call to parents too, she was young.
That's the big right
Or
here.
Margie,
I love it. Are they good?
she also witnessed, I got, she saw me.
Tart.
Tart.
Yeah, they're not really sour, but they're tart. I
love
love them. You can eat the whole thing, but they got a lot of seeds in them, but other than the seeds, I eat everything.
The filling's actually sweeter.
Huh?
The filling is sweeter than the inside.
Yeah, the peeling's a lot sweeter than the inside. Peeling makes it good.
Okay, so, where's kindergarten? I'll discuss in the commissioners report. I'll go ahead and tell y'all, because Kendrick knows about it. For, Brian, the whole sponsor's $150 for the golf thing. But if we wanted, to get our banner out of the way also that we do, the football banner, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Then it would be a total of $325, so that would be what, $65 a piece.
Were they having a golf tournament?
Y'all wanna do it?
That's
Okay.
what they just scan it in.
Okay, so make, y'all have your money tonight, or?
I can get you, when we go out, I can get it to you. 65?
Yep, then,
I can do it right now. Let's see what I got.
quarterback club. I don't have change. Okay.
Cause in the, title, you said 65?
Oh, yeah, it does say that, you can furnish it.
For 60, I have to get you the 5. I don't have change for, unless someone, like I said, unless they got change, there's 60, though. I get you the 5.
Here, I got it.
Perfect.
65,
Paid in full.
What we paying? 65, a banner,
65 a piece
with
for the
football,
banner and the,
and the sponsor of the golf tournament,
How much it cost me?
65 for both of them.
I give you the money
who
in the
gave me
parking
this
lot.
60? Who gave me this?
I gave you the 60.
I gave you 65.
I'll give you 5 when we get out to the parking lot. I got 5 in my truck.
Okay, so I need to collect from, Kendrick, and I need to collect from myself, and that's it.
All right, we ready to start back?
You about done, aren't you?
I'll call the meeting back to order, and we'll go to County Administrator. I think we're on number 8, Fire and EMS.
Yes, sir, that's correct. We're on number 8. If, what we have here is, as you'll know, is one of the things that we struggled so hard in last time, is we had to purchase a couple of ambulances, and it took so many years, was finding a chassis to put the ambulance on. We do have an ambulance in the budget this year, but they couldn't build one for 18 months. But at this point, you know, chassis are still sort of hard to find, and we're not sure just how this worked out, but they actually have one available that fits the ambulances at Murray in Chrysler Dodge in Stark. And just so that you can see, in October 2023, when we purchased the ambulances, we had to purchase the chassis separate. They were $82,000. We reached out to Fraser to see if they had one, if we were buying one from them today, it would be $80,770. And Murray has one for $62,918. The difference between the chassis is the one at Murray is not four-wheel drive. These particular chassis are not on state contract, because they're just so hard to get, because they're a little bit longer and they're a little bit different. But we did reach out to pursue some comparisons. I looked at Fords, I looked at, and Chevrolets online, and, comparison is right around this, is at the 60,000, 61, but they're not, I shouldn't use the word comparison, they're too short, they won't work. So, but I was just trying to get a price comparison. So what we would like to ask to do is purchase this particular chassis, because we, compared to what we had been paying right now, if we had to pay, we'd save around $18,000. But we still have to work on bringing a quote back to y'all for what it would cost to finish outfitting it. And right now, they told us just say we had all that done and the chassis was sitting there, it's 18 months before they can have one put together and ready to deliver. So that would be the next year's budget. So the only thing that would be this year would be the actual chassis.
We budgeted for that.
Yes, sir.
So the Murray will work, is that what I heard, or the Murray won't work?
The Murray will work.
Will
The
work.
ambulance, it's kind of hard to see, but if you can go to the, Caitlin, I don't know which page of it is.
Is it
That's
new, or is it
It's brand,
new?
it's brand new. That's the
Brand
truck
new.
right there.
Chief
That's-
Campbell, Fire Rescue. I was actually, we had a young man apply for us that I interviewed today, in fact, as a paramedic, and one of his references was a guy that now works for Fraser Ambulance. And we were just messing around on the phone. I got on the Dodge locator, because he said, hey, you know, people have been finding some chassis. You need a 108-inch from the back of the cab to the center of the axle, and it has to have an ambulance prep package. It is the only Dodge truck in the nation that's sitting on a lot right now, and even had Dodge look at it too, and it just happened to be sitting in Stark. They also had a $10,000 discount on it for the online sale. I did look up the Fords, and like Bobby said, they were right around the same price. I actually found two state contract prices for an F-550, two different line items. Both 4x2, can't figure out the difference. One of them 64, one of them 62, but they're both 50 inches short of what we would have to put an ambulance on.
So that would be your rationale to dispense with the bid requirements?
Absolutely, and I believe that, one, if you found a truck like this and they did have something on the state contract to allow you to purchase the longer truck, it's gonna well exceed what we're paying for this one. Being $20,000 cheaper than it paid for the last one a year ago.
The windows do.
I wanted to move on this pretty quick, even if we are not ready to build the ambulance yet. We can store it in one of our bays, and then come back with the proposal to put the ambulance on the back of it.
And you say that's the only one that you've been able to find?
Yes, sir. You can go on the website right now on Dodge Ram and say nationwide, and you will not find another truck.
And that's the only one?
Yes, sir. Somebody's ordered
That's
this
amazing.
truck and didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
Because it's a very special order package. We've also been talking to the gentleman at Murray. They can not only order, but they can service these commercial trucks, which has been an issue with the Dodges in the past. So we've already set them up as a vendor. And this may be, if we continue on this route, that we look for our chassis for the best deal, maybe through a local vendor, and then do the upfit through the ambulance manufacturer, because I'm sure there's some type of a markup in there. Chassis prices have come down, but the last quote that I got from Fraser was actually $91,500 for the chassis. Now, Fraser forwarded me what they pay for the chassis today, They've just gotten an update and it was around 80,000, so it come down a little bit, but. And I've actually went and looked at this truck in person and confirmed everything on it. I've sent the window sticker to the ambulance manufacturer to say, is this what we can use? And I have emailed confirmation that yes, only difference is the four-wheel drive, which we didn't want to begin with. We took what we could get.
What's your future plans for, building an ambulance for down the road?
Yes, sir, and when we put that ambulance in the budget, remember, we approved a third full-time ambulance,
Mhm.
but we knew we couldn't start on October 1 with that truck.
Mhm.
If everything continues to go well in the last 2 weeks, I've hired 3 paramedics. With more interested, we're getting some applications right now. They're eventually going to need an additional truck to run that out of. This was gonna be that other truck. In fact, not too long from now, I wanna bring back to you the upfit cost on it and get that approved so they can get that started.
Mhm.
Cause he said they're running about 18 months right now. May be able to get it in 12, but he won't, honor that right now. He said 18 months is what they're telling him.
Mhm.
But that does put us in another budget year. But this is gonna save us almost 20 grand off of that number. That also gets rid of the issue we had last time where we had to purchase a chassis that they direct ship to the dealership. We're actually taking possession of this chassis before, I think that helps out what we had to do that last time.
What was, again, we budgeted for? How much?
I think we budgeted 400,000 for that.
Okay.
And James, this will replace one of our older ones, or this will be an additional?
This is gonna be an additional.
Okay.
For
The
the
older
new-
ones, and right now I don't have anything that we would pull off and remount, cause we still use those backup trucks. Even these brand new trucks, brake jobs, stuff like that, we have to rotate these older trucks through. But if we put a third med unit on the road full time, I would like to put that in a brand new truck. It probably won't be by the time that truck's on the road, cause I think in the next 6 months, we could probably have the crews ready to operate that third crew that we've already budgeted for. But eventually we'd have this new truck for them. At least we'd have it ordered. And we're knowing now that we're 12 to 18 months out when we do order a truck. It used to be 10 weeks and you could have one. So, and that also too, with this way, it gives us time to, when we're ready to do another truck, we'll find a deal on a chassis, because it seems that we save a little money that way.
So what does it cost to put the ambulance box on the back of that chassis?
I mean, total cost for everything will be just under 400,000, which is comparable to what we just paid. Prices have went up on all that. I just went to the conference in Orlando, and they had a truck there that was for $380, but it had options that we don't need. So the whole total purchase price of the truck is gonna come up to probably $360. Like I said, we budgeted $4, but this takes a little off of that. So,
Okay, so you don't have a box already ready to go on it, you're gonna have to get a new box also?
yes, so they upfit the box for us,
Okay.
as you saw on the new trucks. And, I know not many of y'all, thank goodness I've been in the back of them, but Mr. Crosby stood in the back of that truck with me the other day and found out why we picked that setup. That is probably the best setup I've ever been in for a rural area service. Gives us a lot of room to work, and him and I were able to step in the back of the truck for a situation and not be in anybody's way. I would like to keep that floor plan, and moving forward, I would like to make sure our trucks are through a single vendor. We have 6 different vendors that work on our trucks right now. Something breaks, you've got a ton of people to call. I have one truck right now that when the computer screen goes out, we won't be able to use the truck anymore. So the box will be useless to us. But this one will be for a new crew. Because again, we'll be running three full-time ambulances plus our squad truck every day.
So until this one gets here, you're using one of the older ones?
Yes, sir, we'll rotate through the old ones, we'll do whatever we have to do but right now, even if we hired the paramedics we're looking for, by December of this year, as long as nothing changes, we just had a young lady finish paramedic school. Paramedics have been our problem here. There's 5 more people in paramedic school right now. We will have a majority of our crew trained as paramedics, sometimes even having two paramedics on the same truck. And I hope to be able to keep it that way.
If I remember our conversation, we were gonna try to put one out at Walker's Passage.
Yes, sir. Right now, they're there, they're staffed there now because we're building this station,
Right.
but as long as the numbers still support it,
Mhm.
that station will become full-time.
Good, good. And that's where most of the calls are.
We had a lot of calls in that area, and that's also proven because they're dual certified, when they can grab that fire truck. We just had a large brush fire a few days ago, and their response times, I think Ms. Langford will tell you, the response times when they're out there, yeah, they're quick.
We had used ambulance out there probably about a year and a half ago, and they were within 5 minutes at the gate.
Good.
At our house.
That has actually made, just relocating Med 2 out there right now has made a huge impact on our response times because of the call load in the area.
Shows you there's a need there.
Absolutely. But we just need permission to get this. They're holding the truck for us. Again, it's a specialty truck. And if you can find one online that meets those standards, a patch on the back, because even a dog dealership couldn't dealer locate one.
Motion to approve the purchase.
Second.
I would include in that motion all the reasons the chief gave for dismissing with the normal bid requirement.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner, Thomas, and a second by Commissioner Sharon Langford to approve the purchase of the, chassis, the truck, with the, waiving the bid requirements. Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
I do have a question on the box itself. Are we gonna try and take that out for bid? Or do we know of any bids that we can piggyback off of?
I'll see if anybody's bid on anything like that. We would like to go with the box that we're using currently. We can bid that out. I have looked around and I don't foresee that being an issue with them being a low bid. That entire time in Orlando, we talked to multiple ambulance manufacturers. They're all in the same price point or a little bit more. So I don't think that would be an issue. With us being a returning customer, then that would just try to get a low bid with the bid process, or we could say we've already got several of these trucks. There is some specialty stuff on the truck, but if I wrote it exactly what we have, it'd be a lockout. Nobody would be able to touch it for any other reason. It's not a type of ambulance that most people build. But we'll bring some numbers back to you and get some direction.
Sound good?
My next item is number 10. It's a non-action item, but I just wanted to put it on here. As you know, we worked our way through a CDBG grant, Community Development Block Grant, which was building houses and actually doing a lot of repair and upgrades to homes. And that was an amount of $750,000. We received our report back, our report card is what I like to call it, from Florida Commerce, and basically they were very pleased with the way we monitored and we kept up with everything, and everything was done really well. Fred Fox and his group helped us with this, and a lot of the office work on tracking this was also done by Ms. Kramer. She had kind of started with this, so she finished it up for us. So
Yeah, when I read through it, I liked it when I saw there were no issues. There were no issues. So they're doing a good job, because I know there's so much that has to be done with the, on tracking these things. So they're doing a good job with it. Glad to hear that.
it would be nice if every 6 months they didn't change the way you had to report it or log it or put it in. but it's worked out well. So. But that's the only other thing I had, and we want to go ahead and we can talk about it now. I sent you all an email here, I don't know, a week or so ago about the accessory buildings on property, vacant property. Brandon has been working on that for me. Brandon does with North Florida Professionals. He has to be here at our next meeting anyway to make some presentations. And I spoke with him, and if y'all would like, if it's time-wise, we could do a workshop maybe before that meeting. Do we have one already scheduled? At 3 o'clock?
How long
And,
will this last?
I think we should just allow 45 minutes, and that gives a 15-minute break. I could be wrong, but I sent a lot of information. If y'all get a chance to review that information,
Yeah.
I think it may help a lot. I kind of put a few suggestions in. You may have a couple of things you want to be sure of, but I think we can move pretty quickly. And then if we don't get through, we'll just schedule another workshop. But I think we can probably get through it pretty quickly.
So that's for the February 3rd
Yes.
meeting,
At
3
3. Does
o'clock
that-
workshop?
Yeah. Does that work with everyone's
Yep.
schedule?
Works for me.
Can I get that printed out? I have to come in next week to pay Edgar's insurance, and
Okay.
can I just get that
Mhm.
printed out also? That way I have a
Mhm.
printed copy.
Grandson's birthday.
So February 3rd at 3 o'clock.
If I recall correctly too, he also made a comparison of counties that allowed
Yeah.
accessories and didn't allow accessories.
Exactly.
And pros and cons.
He provided some really good information.
Oh, that's very helpful.
So February 3rd, we'll have a 3 o'clock workshop and a 4 o'clock county commission meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. And what I would just say, let's plan on scheduling the workshop from 3 to 3:45. That gives everybody a chance to take a break.
Yep.
And before the meeting starts.
Sounds good.
And that's all I have, unless there's some questions at this time.
Any questions? Mr. Lane?
Yeah, I have one thing left, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Crosby and myself have been meeting with, the county, planner that's helping with the dairy, special use permit applications, as well as with Ms. Patrice Boyce. There are, if they haven't already been submitted, they're soon to submit 12 SUP applications that have been, reviewed by Ms. Marino as well as Ms. Boyce. But they have an environmental specialist that can testify as to, how do I put this? Fertilizer application on crops and relevancy as far as the impact on the land itself and to the county. And so what they've done is they've asked that I bring this to the board. There's not very many specialists, engineers that specialize in this particular field, and a couple that they did find in this part of the state were conflicted out because of their relationships with other dairies that were affiliated. So they have found a gentleman by the name of Mr. Brian L. Roy. He's president of Rural Consulting Services, Inc., to provide technical review services on behalf of Gilchrist County in regard to all these special use permits that are being submitted by North Florida Dairy. They recommend that we hire this because if we don't have someone that can refute what the dairy's engineer says, then it's going to be taken as given. But if you have someone there that can contradict what they say, then of course, if we don't like what they're doing, we have a rationale for turning them down.
Right.
But there's going to be a bunch of them that come up, and they want us to go ahead and get that on board. And along those lines, he submitted a standard form of agreement between the owner and the engineer for master services, which I reviewed and I'm agreeable with. And then he sent us also a task order number 1 to the master services agreement that states his fee would not exceed $10,000 pursuant to the attached rate sheet that's attached for providing technical review for, I believe that's exactly how he phrased it, fertilizer application to cropland, but we all know what he's speaking of.
Do we know yet when we're gonna be, discussing this, like, what meeting?
We don't know yet the
Okay.
exact meeting, but everything is in line, and those applications, except for a few little nuances that they need to correct based on our conversation, if they haven't already been submitted, they're soon to be submitted. Of course, they're gonna have to pay their fee too, and those fees are
I'm just,
quite expensive.
I'm requesting that the commissioners get that packet, 30 days ahead of time, instead of, us seeing it the Friday night before.
What we plan
Oh,
to do.
no, it can't be
No.
the night before, and these are
No.
expensive. That's
I'm just saying, SUPs, I know, y'all emailed us some when we had the last one. I like it to be emailed 30 days prior.
Yeah.
So I have
What-
time to review it.
What we will do is, as soon as we can, even once they submit once they have all the applications correct the way they're supposed to be, we can actually, provide those to you. They will still need to be reviewed, and conditions put on them or any changes?
Well, I would like to see it after all that's done.
Okay, you wanna wait till it's all done?
That's,
Okay.
I mean, my opinion, but I wanna have it, you know, I don't
Oh,
wanna be
yeah,
able to.
Well, you're gonna have a
to.
quasi judicial hearing.
Right.
on
I don't
each one
wanna,
of
I
those.
don't wanna have to get on my computer the Friday before the meeting, you know, 'cause that's when it's posted. I wanna have it ahead of time.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
you know, that's all she said, give her time.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
and then you'll
You
have,
may want them 60 days.
Yeah.
that's right. They're real technical, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
and they're really big, a lot to digest when you go through each one of them. A lot of parcels are involved. I don't even know the number of parcels at this particular time. But one, for instance, it might have 5 different parcels on that one SUP. And then you move to the next one. I'm talking about hundreds of acres.
And they're sending letters out to adjoining property owners, something?
When we get, yeah,
When we get to
after
that
we,
point.
when we get to that point, once they accept, then they pay the fee for filing them, then we can move forward with what has to be done
Okay.
as far as notification of the public.
Now, this agreement here, there's no retainer or nothing, he just does a task order and he gets paid for doing that task order?
He's gonna bill you by the hour, not to exceed $10,000.
When he goes to work?
That's
Right.
right.
No
That's all it
retainer.
is.
Yeah, no retainer.
No retainer, no initial
Well-
retainer.
Well-
But they assured us, they said, if they disagree, if you put a condition in it, and we've already been through this with the dairy and had a legal, case, you know,
Mhm.
if you put a condition that they disagreed with, we need some way to back up that. So
Right.
if they did sue or challenge that,
Right.
we've got, we've got some concrete evidence
our
as to why we put that in place, and that's what they're saying that we need, that we don't have, and they're few and far between experts on,
Well, we couldn't-
solid waste effluent applications on land.
Our knowledge wouldn't let us defend ourselves, and we have to justify, the action that we take. But we need some concrete justification to be able to do it,
That's correct.
and some
We have an
scientific.
expert planner, so we know the planning is gonna be done absolutely right for these particular type applications, and they're suggesting it, and we got an excellent attorney because we've used her several times, and then we're gonna have this environmental guy that can testify as to if it's being done correctly.
Yeah, I'm aware of Royal Consulting, and they're well-known across the state, and they've got ag engineers, just like, I'm sure the dairy has their own ag engineers, and so having that expertise will help our council and us as we go forward. And I know that the dairy has a permit with DEP related to their manure and how all the nutrients are accounted for and how they utilize all that. And so I really think this company will be able to help us and their engineers with potential conditions. I think the dairy they're going to want to try to do it as best it can. There's technology out there to help them do all of this, and so having somebody help us.
In the dairy's defense, I would, I applaud them because they have spent a lot of time putting these SUPs together. Once they got serious about what they needed to do and took it out of the local hands and put it in, I think Mike Hollingsworth is named, the engineer that works for the dairy, and he's got a young lady that used to work for DEP that helps him. She's an engineer, Stephanie, I believe her name. But anyway, they have put a ton of work in these things, and they've done them correctly. It's a lot different than what we've been.
I've noticed the dairy, particularly the one around Bell, is tried to work on cleaning up, and it's looking better, and we appreciate them doing that, and appreciate them trying to work with us.
So I have a question now, with the change in our fee schedule for SUPs, are we going to be able to recoup any of the costs?
Oh,
from-
yeah, at cost, due to the changes in the fees for the SUPs.
Oh,
Are we
yeah.
gonna be able to recoup our costs for paying?
I don't know if we'll recoup it all with what we've got. Not if you go all the way back to the original, lawsuit and everything. I forget what the fees are for this.
I don't think he's talking about the original lawsuit, he's talking about
No,
now.
I'm talking about this,
Analyzing
yeah,
the
up to the
claims,
10,000 or whatever.
I think we'll be close, because these, for 12 of these, I think it's between $55,000 and $60,000.
That'll help us pay for this person.
And Bobby, I think talking with you before, our Ms. Patrice is working on potential conditions related to good neighbor policies and all that kind of thing, right?
We all are, yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly right. That Ms. Marino is suggesting it and she's drafting it, you know, and she has some good ideas too, even though she's not an environmental type attorney. She's got good ideas about the flies, the odors, the times of spray, that sort of thing. Which I think the dairy has been amenable to some of those things too. They just need to have some rules. This is what we gotta do and this is what we need to follow. And one other thing that came up the other day when we were discussing is keep us in the loop when they amend or change or apply for the DEP permits. That have kind of overlooked us in the past, even though that's the requirement of some of the underlying stuff that they've utilized. And that'll be a condition, that you, if they're gonna request something, you need to know in advance what they're requesting.
I was gonna add this, recouping our money like this man coming for $10,000.
Yes.
I thought it was understood that we, our lawyers out of our own pocket to protect our interests.
He's talking about they pay a fee to file the application. That money then can be utilized how y'all wanna utilize it. So he's saying that we're taking in enough there, it's gonna cover a lot of the fees that we're having to pay out. So you're really paying for it, but they're paying you for their application. Mhm.
All right, I move to, accept the agreement and the task orders for the, Royal Consulting
Second.
Services.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Martin and a second by Commissioner Smith to, enter into this agreement, with the owner and engineer for master services and, accept the task orders.
Mr. Chair.
Not to exceed $10,000.
Yeah, I think we also need to add in the language in the motion, the agreement itself, has county administrator signing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Karen had
That's
asked
what
me
I
that
was
the other
fixing
day.
to bring up.
He sent that up based on what Francis and Patricia said, that we do need that, we need permission for Bobby to sign rather than the chairman, because they already have it in the agreement that Bobby, county administrator, would be signing.
I'll add that to the motion.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Thanks for pointing that out, Todd. I had a note to point that out and I didn't.
Anything else?
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Todd?
Yes, sir. Only item I have left on my report is, PRM is our health insurance consortium. And I was at the quarterly meeting, a couple weeks ago. The insurance company that currently handles, all of our administration for, the consortium is currently they're part of a merger or acquisition. In our opinion, as a group, the consortium doesn't believe that merger is in our best interest. There's only like 3 or 4 entities that work in the state of Florida that do this type of work. And our belief is that by allowing this merger, it's going to reduce competition, therefore potentially give the potential that our insurance rates will go up just based on the fact that we don't have a competitive market to do this type of work. So the attorney for the consortium has drafted a letter. The sample letter is in your agenda. And he's recommending that we send a letter to the entities that review these types of mergers. This is a potential antitrust type situation. And so he's recommending that we send a letter as well. Like I say, he's already sent a letter on behalf of the consortium. But he's requesting that all the entities that are part of the consortium consider sending a letter as well. Was talking to one of the commissioners earlier today, and he recommended that we also include our representatives as well, so that they know that we have concerns as well. Right. And if they have the ability to make requests or recommendations as well, that they would know that we have concerns about this. So I'm asking approval for maybe Mr. Lang to take the draft letter and submit this on behalf of the board, if the board believes it's worthy of us to do that.
So moved.
Okay. Okay, I've got a motion by Commissioner Martin and a second by Commissioner Thomas to instruct the attorney to draft this letter to send I guess, to the Federal Trade Commission, about the proposed acquisition, with the insurance company, so, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Thank you, Todd, I think that's a great idea.
Sure, that concludes my report.
Okay. All right, we'll go to our commission reports. Commissioner Sharon?
Yeah, I was just looking at my calendar. Is the courthouse closed on President's Day?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll be able to have our meeting. Also, Mr. Crosby, how many, in the road department, how many more positions do we need to hire before we're full? How many
Two.
vacant?
Two.
We still have two.
Two.
Okay, is there, I'm just thinking of the, you know, the potential challenges that are ahead of us. I don't know if, you know, I hate to hire people and then we have to lay people off because we don't know what's gonna, you know, what's going to come. I don't know if we can just get away with one right now instead of two, or just, and to see, you know, what else. I'm just thinking of, you know,
I think we're, right now, I say we gotta hire two, but one of them, I'm pretty sure, is already, the background checks and all are already being done on one of them, as far as, you know, the interview process and everything. So, we could, we could probably start with that one.
I mean, I don't know, what is the commit, what do y'all think? I mean,
Well,
You know,
it's already, in almost February right now, and
I mean, are things not being done, because if we were one less short, is there major things that's not gonna be able to get done?
I don't think it'd be major things. I mean, it might delay something a little bit longer or something like that, you know. The odyssey about the road department or your larger departments always seem to be, even no matter how many you're trying to hire, you're always down one or two positions. They just, you know, like some of the ones we're replacing now, we would have been full if some hadn't retired or left. So there's
Hard one,
always
lose
that.
one.
Door policy.
and I was an advocate, you know, to getting, you know, more employees, and if this is something, you know, y'all agree on, you know, we can look at it during budgeting time, you know, just to see, you know, if we can put it back in there. But just for right now, I'm just thinking, you know, with the challenges ahead, we need to try to look at, you know, instead of hiring people and, hate to have to lay somebody off if we have to.
Did you do the zipper demonstration?
Yes,
You did?
the training, it worked very well.
Good.
We'll be,
We want no ripper to zipper to work, you gotta have people for that, or Lebanon, I think it's picked up since they about got bugs out of the machine, right?
yes, yes.
So you gotta
And
have
we've been doing some.
You gotta have your, I don't know, you're good at cutting people, you don't good at cutting services.
I mean, I know we were down two right now, so I mean, so we're fixing to hire somebody, so it'll be one vacant. But, I don't know, I was just thinking, you know, the comment that the clerk made, I'm just thinking of,
You know, when we brought the proposal for the number of people to be increased at the road department, if we wanted to get, and I'm just speaking, if we need, that's not enough people to actually do everything that we need to do the way we need to do it. We understand we can't afford that many people, so I'm not saying that as a complaint. So we can more than do it with that one less, if that's what the board wishes at this time. We'll just hold off on hiring that position. If we see we need it, we'll come back and say, hey, we do need this position or whatever. It's just that anytime you're short a position, and you gotta think, if you've got 21 people in a department, and if they've been here long enough that they get 2 weeks vacation, well, that's 40-something weeks of vacation, plus then if they're out sick or some different things. So you know, there's a lot of logistics. We will make it work. We'll do the best we can with what we have.
Bobby, what is it we're not gonna get done if we don't have that position filled?
Well, like now, we've got a person trying to go around right now, get all of our signs straightened back up because of the storm, weed eating around them, trimming around them, cleaning them, making sure they're visible. You know, I think I don't know if this make a difference, but we've had I mean, we're just trying to clear up these safe zones is the way I'd rather put it, make sure they're looking better, and that's a lot of what we're doing. And that hasn't been done for a long time, because we didn't have the people to do it.
Right.
Then we had storms come through, and y'all probably seen a lot of signs twisted, leaning. So it might be that we're not doing that, that we only catch that every now and then, or something like that. So, that may be one thing that drops. I would really need to get with them, or it might mean that when it comes time to start mowing the roads again, you're not mowing the roads.
I understand.
And it still may all balance out. It really just depends on,
Well, we've been down
lot of
two this
things.
whole time already,
Yeah.
so.
I understand the concern, but we've always been down. one or
Yeah.
two.
that's,
So
well,
if you keep taking applications, you're probably not gonna get ahead
well,
nowhere.
that's kind of what I'm saying. We're gonna say, well, let's don't hire the last
Back
one.
in
We've been
January.
down one or two even trying to fill these positions. We had it full one time, it lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Say, do you know how many in the near future are
So-
gonna be retiring or leaving?
So it just seems to float, but I will say, we have got, and I'm not throwing off anybody else, but we've got a really good crew now that looks like they recognize the benefit of having the benefits through the counties and the insurances and the retirement, and not like a lot of, hate to say it, the younger ones are gonna go where the money is. The older you get, you go where the benefits are, it seems like. So, but no, I mean, we can hold off on that last one. Yeah, I mean, and just, if we run into a problem, we'll let you know.
Yeah, I mean-
know my call logs on complaints, but,
yeah, but we've been down two anyway, so. What about, any open positions in any other departments besides the road department we need to look at?
No, the only place we have any open positions we're trying to fill right now is EMS. And we've got one at maintenance, but you need that one back,
EMS for,
emergency services,
okay, for, paramedic?
paramedics.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, last, can we get a list of people who drive our, county vehicle home?
Mhm.
And also a list of all of our county vehicles and what department they're in? It'd be, good to look at that list again, just so, we haven't had that list in a while. What department the vehicles belong in and, who drives them home. What year it is, what year vehicle.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Several of us attended the legislative delegation meeting a week or two ago. Commissioner Martin did a good job of representing us, and appreciate that. And also, I've heard from several of them that they're putting together a bill related to solar, and so that might help address some of our concerns. We appreciate them doing that, and also they're going to try to support our legislative request for additional funding for solid waste. I keep hearing that the legislative session is going to be a lot tighter as far as funding, and so if you know anybody in key positions, it'd be good to talk to them and see if they can help us out. The other thing I was going to mention, the Gilchrist County Fair Boosters is having their fundraiser at the fairground Saturday evening at 6. And I'm sure they'd appreciate it if any or all of us could be there, and I think it's $20.
$20, or you can get a table for $2.50.
Yeah, so,
And
This
that
is-
table's for 8.
okay.
What's
That's
the
the way,
6 p.m.?
6 p.m. They're raising funds to help support our 4-H and FFA exhibitors in the fair. And
Last year, it was over $800 per student that they helped them out,
Yeah.
so it's a big thing. It's,
When is the thing they're having at Hart Springs for the 100-year?
31st. 31st.
Fireworks.
What time is that?
Dark.
it'd be a dark fireworks.
I
Can
don't
you
know,
send
just,
us
they've got some other things going on
Can
too.
you
I don't
send
know
us an email
exactly.
reminding us about that?
We can send you a copy of the flyer
Okay,
too.
yeah, do that. And that's at Hart Springs.
the 31st of this month?
Yeah.
This
Oh, this
month.
month. That's why I'm saying send us a reminder, if you will,
Before-
a flyer.
Ain't far off.
And then we'll have fireworks and that's gonna be out at the fields, kinda where we have our fields.
is.
Okay.
At the campground.
Starts at 5.
So there's activity starting at 5
It's next Friday.
next Friday. Yeah, that's why I was asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to make sure we attend that then if we can.
Next Friday.
That's all?
I went to Otter Springs and there was a war going on.
You did what now?
I went to Otter Springs and there was a war going on. They had their reenactment out there. I was out feeding my cows about 10 o'clock and I heard all these cannons going off and I thought, oh my gosh, who is shooting? What kind of elephant gun is going off around here? And so I started doing some investigating and calling some friends and no one knew where it was coming from. So I decided to go investigate and I went down to Otter Springs and they had quite a array of people. Their reenactment has grown tremendously. Last year they had just probably a dozen, maybe 24 people, and this year campground was full of tents and reenactors, and they had about 12 cannons out there, and they were blasting away, and gunfire went on, and people were falling over like they'd been shot. I had a really good time. They gave a little short history lesson about the battles. There was not really a battle at Otter Springs, but there were many battles in this area. And all the way down to Cedar Key, there were battles along the river for different things. And so it was a great turnout of people. It was a pretty good crowd there watching it. And, I enjoyed myself. I went back for the 2 o'clock show and heard why all the cannons were going off. And although they had cannons there, the original war that they were reenacting did not have cannons. But there are a group of people who own them, and at their own expense, they travel all over the Southeast going to reenactments, and they spend hundreds of dollars on gunpowder, and when they want to go have fun, they did not want to keep them from having fun, so they added the cannons into the reenactment. And I didn't get any calls of complaints about it, but I did have people call me asking what is being blown up. And so when I told them it was the reenactment, they understood. Also, I'm modeling today the 100-year shirt. So if you want to get these, they've got them in the office over there. And so I know it's not real dressy, but I decided I wanted to show it off since I got it. So I'm excited about the 100-year thing and things that are going on. So other than that, it's been cold weather has we've all seemed to handle the snowstorm that was supposed to come through, and everything seems to be good, so I'm in good shape.
Mr. Thomas? I have a couple things. I did ride Spring Ridge today, and the roads are looking good. I know y'all all got the email from
Yes,
Lee.
appreciate it.
They're really proud of him.
Yeah.
Lee called me and told me he really was, fantastic job. They're doing a real good job. Also, I talked to Jennifer at the legislative meeting. I come in late, and I appreciate Mr. Martin, Commissioner Martin taking my role there. But, I did talk to her a pretty good while, and she does have a bill, that she's gonna be presenting about the solar. Her question, to me was, how many do we have in Gilchrist County, which I'm putting a thing together for, and some more information I had gathered. And where is the stopping line? In other words, what percentage of our land mass, would be a stopping point? I told her we'd already reached it myself, but that's one thing that she said she was struggling with is where's the cutoff? How many more can they build, or when can we stop them, or stuff like that? So I'm gonna be working with her, trying to get some information for her to present with her bill. Also,
Mr. Chairman,
I've had,
just to comment on that, I think the language should be permissive. In other words, up to the county, because I think that there are some small counties that would not agree with us.
right,
So you want to, in my opinion, I think we should do this language in a way that it protects small counties that want the protection, but doesn't limit the ability for, a small county to accept them Because I mean, I know at conferences, I've heard some counties be like, send them all our way.
Yeah.
And if we have people that are going to fight it from a small county perspective, it's going to limit the ability for it to get passed. So, I think it'd be smart if they do language that is permissive as opposed, not saying, at this point, but it gives the authority or the ability for counties to make that decision on their own.
Well,
More of the home rule.
Well, that's what I'm
You know,
told.
That is the new language.
I said, my interest is give us back the home rule. Okay, because right now, the state, I told her, we got a comp plan, we got LDRs, we got all this, but the state is deciding what they're gonna do. They're basically deciding what Gilchrist County is gonna look like instead of us.
Right.
And I said, we were elected to decide that and come up with a comp plan and do our LDRs. But then they're telling us, oh, you gotta have so many solar farms, and there is no number on that. Are we gonna have 10 more, 20 more, 40 more? I mean, what are we gonna have? So I told her, my concern was home rule. I'm not against working with them, but I think we should have some of that decision as to when, where, why, and how. And right now, they're not allowing us to do that. So, I'll continue to work with her on that.
Can I just Tommy, related to that, I'm wondering if Bobby, I don't know if we've got a draft copy of the bill, but it might be good for all of us to look at that if you get a draft.
Yeah.
One thought is, what I've heard discussed is a percentage of agricultural land, up to, and right now we're at maybe 2.5%, 3%, because we've got I think, Bobby, we looked at the total ag acres from USDA, it's about 106,000 or something. I think that's high, probably. But still, I think that's what they're gonna want is some percentage possibly. The other is more flexibility on the border, what we ask for, separate from potentially other uses. So.
That's, I haven't seen the language, but I've spoken with 3 different people in Tallahassee. And the language is there a percentage we can put? And I told them right now we're at 2%, and if the other 2 come, we'll be at 3%. But at that point, come home rule. But another part of it would be, regardless if you didn't have any, that the buffering would be could be separate so that you could write a certain buffering for that compared to what you do to your other businesses now. So that if you wanted to go from a 20-foot buffer to a 50-foot buffer, or whatever that number is, you would be allowed to do that and not be hindered by what you require everybody else to do. So that's the 3 things that I've heard that they're putting in there. So I haven't seen it written out yet.
So we'll just continue to work on it and look at it. Like you said, a draft of it would be good to look at, and maybe we can tweak it from there.
I'll try to look, see if either one of them submitted, but I don't know if they have yet or not. I know they hadn't last week. So
yeah, I talked to Chris Doolin this morning, and he wasn't aware of any. He pretty well watches all that stuff.
Yeah, he's one of the ones that's been calling me too.
The school going in on 47, there seems to be concern. I've got several phone calls. Y'all might have got the same ones about the gas line out there. When they come for the rezoning, is somebody going to be there to answer questions about how close the gas line is or anything like that, Bobby?
Well, I don't know if anybody will be here to answer that question or not, but actually even, that's something that the school is gonna have to deal with Sable Trail on.
Right.
It wouldn't matter how it was zoned. It could be zoned right now to build a school on it, and they've got rules, and then they'd have to follow those guidelines and rules that Sable Trail has. So, I mean, I don't know if they'll have anybody here for that or not.
No.
But,
well, I think it would help us make
yeah.
make a decision though, if we knew that they said, okay, you gotta be so many feet, and, they had some type of ideal of where the school was gonna go, where the park was gonna go, or how close it's gonna be to the gas line. I mean, they may not have a site plan yet, but at the same time, I'd hate for them to get so far and then gas people say, no, you can't do that.
well, hopefully their engineer is
David caught
doing
me.
their research, because I told David Spencer he needed to have them check with Sable Trail.
David Spencer caught me the other day when I was at the bus garage, and he said he's got his engineers ready to answer questions about the gas line.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
said I'd gotten some calls about the gas line. He says, oh, we got our engineer taking care of that. He'll be there to answer questions about it. So I think they've got that.
Okay, good, good. I have one more other thing. They're gonna be redoing 138. I talked to Bobby about this. And I talked to Tom Sturgeon from Ellie Ray's. I'd like for the board to consider, talking with Anderson, and Bobby's already, got kind of a confirmation on that, about taking some of those millings and putting on the road that goes into Ellie Ray's. It's about a half a mile. And, I'd like to see if we could work a deal out with Anderson to put some millings on that road. It's a business. It's a business road, a lot of traffic on it. And while the millings are right there, rather than, haul them or, anything like that, if we could just work something out with them, and Bobby seems to think they're pretty much agreeable to it, that the board would approve us taking some of those millings and working a deal out with Anderson. No money involved or nothing like that, but, ask them to dump them on that road, and let's spread them out and make him a nice road into a.
They want
What-
to use the,
What,
that rotavator to work them into the ground, or just lay them on top?
Well, my idea would be if we took the zipper out there and reworked the road and shaped and ditched and crowned it and got it ready, and then put the millings on top of it and pack them down. I mean, I think you could make a real nice road out of it by adding 3 or 4 inches of those millings on there, or however many inches they put on them. I don't
the only thing about that, then, you're gonna open a can of worms for other businesses. And we have boat ramps right now, public boat ramps that are dirt road. I mean, can we not take that and do some of our public boat ramps? Because if we do this to this business, then, other businesses may say, why didn't you give me that opportunity? I wanted millings on my road. I mean, we have public boat ramps that belong to Gilchrist County that have no millings right now.
Well, there wouldn't be our millings, they would belong to Anderson. We would just ask them if they would, dump them on that road for us and let us spread them out. I mean, we do have millings, we have millings at 47, but
I'm just-
those, actually, the way I understand it, will belong to Anderson. And while they're there, rather than them hauling them to a site, they just go dump them, what we need on the road, and we spread them out. And got an opportunity there to make a nice road out of it. They would give them to us, or? The way I understand it, yes, sir.
After what we just went through at Spring Ridge, and you want middle of the
No,
road.
I'm not, yeah,
My thing is, we got 2 churches in the county, you
Yeah.
got Seventh-day Adventist, you got Riverside. I'd rather put millings to a church
Yes,
than not have.
I would too. I would too, or even to a public boat ramp or a church. I agree with you, Mr. We have boat ramps and we have churches right now that we could do this for.
I know at John Deere, Mark from Weaver's Road, different millings, and we got the devil on that road, because once you put it down, you can't
It's-
maintain.
No, and then, yeah, look, like at Spring Ridge, then we had to pave it.
Yeah.
So if this fails, are we gonna have to pave it then?
Well, I don't think it would necessarily fail if you build it right. You just put the millings on there, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
You maintain it from.
I would rather not get involved just because it's it's a business down there. I'd rather go and look at some churches or some public boat ramps, because there may be other businesses in the county that would want millings also. That's just my thought.
Or you're gonna ask Anderson to do it? I mean, we
Yeah.
would be asking Anderson to do
We can
this.
ask Anderson if they can dump it on the 2 churches that don't have, or boat ramps right now. The public boat, we have roads that go to a public boat ramp, or the churches.
What was the
can do that.
plan for the millings, before that idea? Do we know?
Those millings belong to Anderson.
Okay,
That job was so, if you remember, we had to ask for additional funding to even do that job. So the bid was them keeping the millings, so those millings are not the county's.
so they wouldn't give them to us or anybody else, would they, or?
Engineer reached out to, Mr. Tony Williams of Anderson, Columbia, and he said he thought they could make that work out. That they would just, with that road being right there, they could try to dump them right there, but would be responsible for.
How far is the
road.
church road from there? One of the churches, Commissioner Thomas?
That half mile limit, maybe a little up.
Which one?
What?
From 138 down
There-
to,
The Riverside Baptist Church is right down by the fire station.
Yeah, behind the fire
138.
station. But
Yeah,
that's
like-
all dirt road there.
But do it up to the church, the millings, and then the other church don't have millings?
Now, the other one is all the way, they would
It's
probably
over
do
there
that.
between Bell and Trenton, if you're talking about.
Well, we could ask them if they would haul it. It's
No, no,
for a
no, no,
church.
I meant the 7-day Advent, I don't know if they would haul them
We
back.
could ask, I mean, since it's
Yeah.
for a church,
Are
they
you
might
gonna
would,
be-
They
Are they
might,
gonna be
yeah, you're
paving that?
right about that.
you know,
They
Be
understand.
it'd be a
paving
good,
that strip down there,
Where?
down between Bell and Trenton? Isn't that where you're talking about 7-day?
Jennings Lake.
yeah, I mean,
Right, so if they're doing 129 between Bell and Trenton, they would be real close to it.
They're getting that from Mayo to State.
yeah,
Okay, they're not
but
doing
since
it.
it's a church, they may be willing to go, 10 miles down the road and dump it for us.
We could ask.
I'm just not a big fan of Midlands, that's what I went to at Springfield.
Yeah. No,
That was a costly project.
it sure was, yes, sir.
But we've put millings on roads before. We did the county line like that one time. And we've done other roads like that. I just thought it'd help them make a road, and if we worked out something with Anderson, it wouldn't cost us nothing other than fixing the road or spreading them out when they dumped them out there. And it'd help Tom's business to better his road in there.
I'd like to see if we could do it to those churches first.
Yeah.
And maybe the public boat ramp.
And I'd rather have Rodney here to be in on this since this don't involve him.
Okay, well, when they start on it, we'll bring it back.
Can we look at the churches and the public boat ramp?
Sure.
And maybe open it up for any business maybe that,
And I'm not gonna pay us anything, if you look at next year's budget, they wanna give it, that's one.
No, it wouldn't be no cost to us. Okay, that's all I have. Does anybody have anything else?
I have one thing. I had a phone call today about our emails not being on our website. Like your email, Mr. Crosby, is on the website, but you have to click and it goes directly. So sometimes when they click, they can't open up an email. I mean, still have it where they can click it, but can you also list our emails so they don't, because it's not listed on there, the commissioner's emails. Yours is, Mr. Crosby, but ours is not. You have to click on a site, and sometimes that site don't work when they click on it, they say. I had the lady from Career Source, Florida Crown called me today, so I had to send her everybody's email.
That woman called my office and got mine today too.
Sir,
She called my office as well.
I gave her your email.
Okay.
Bec-
Oh, I didn't know what that
Because,
was.
like Mr. Crosby's is on there, but our email is not listed. It has a thing underlined where you have to click, but when people, and I've had complaints about that before, when they click it sometimes and it don't open. So if we can list the email, and you can still leave the little thing where they can click, but I'd like our emails listed also.
You could,
I move we adjourn, if there's no other
Second.
business.
We gotta do public
Oh,
participation.
do public
Any public
participation first.
participation? Okay,
So move to adjourn,
motion to
second.
adjourn? Okay.